Hi everyone, I'm Steph, and today I'm going to talk about all of the awesome Essen releases that are coming out in like a week. So I've had the opportunity to play a whole bunch of them, so I'm going to run down my top 10 favorites that I've played so far, and I'm also going to go over very quickly my top 10 most anticipated Essen releases, followed by a few expansion type stuff that I'm very excited for as well. So it's really kind of like a top 25, even though it's really a top 10, a top 10, and a top 5. So, starting with the games that I've played, because I know more about them, I'm going to talk about my top 10 going from 10 to my favorite one. I'm going to start with Dragon Market. Dragon Market is a new abstract game from Blue Orange Games that fits right in line with them. With their titles like Blue Lagoon, because that's also the same kind of weight and a bit abstract. You are trying to go around the board, moving boats, collecting different objects to fulfill contracts. It's really cute, easy to play, fun for families. I enjoyed it quite a bit, and the bits are awesome! My number 9 is No Swap, No Play. Now, this is another light family fun kind of game. You're swapping bags, collecting gold, trying to get the most money in your bag, but since every turn you have to give your bag to somebody, or at least offer your bag to somebody, it makes the game totally crazy and chaotic, and you're like, well, I think that bag has some bad tokens in it, I don't want it, but maybe it doesn't, and I'll try and switch it out, and so it gets like, it's just fun, and it will definitely give you some laughs. And it plays, I think, up to 5 players, so it's good for a bigger family too. So that was a lot of fun. My number 9 is Trismegistus. Trismegistus. Oh man, it's a big long word and it has something to do with alchemicals and combinations. Man, this game is very in depth. It's not for the casual gamer at all. I mean, there is a lot of rules and a lot of explanations and a lot of this and that and this and that. It is, on the basic, a dice drafting game where you're trying to manipulate your resources to fulfilling contracts. That's the the basic explanation I can give you. It's a lot. My first game was hard. But I had fun, and I don't think I will be teaching this game anytime soon, so hopefully I can get in another play with people who know it, or maybe I'll try the solo game, because that's also an option. So it's definitely one I want to explore further and see if I can figure it out, because it seems like a pretty cool game. It has a lot of layers to get deep into. So if you're a big heavy fan, heavy just game fan, then this might be for you. It might be too much, so you gotta think about that going into learning it. Number 7 is Trial of the Temples. This one is pretty light, but it's beautiful, like all Emperor S4 games. They have amazing art, and it just draws you in. It's pretty light, and it's like a next step up from Splendor, that kind of thing. You are collecting these gems and moving up these different tracks. So I think this is more in line with the hour-long Euro type game that people enjoy, and I think it'll be a pretty big hit, and people will enjoy that one. I enjoyed it. I mean, for the art alone. It has a cool, moving board mechanic where the board is flipping over and actions are changing throughout the game, so that's kind of neat. And yeah, I think there's a lot of redeeming, interesting mechanics for that one, so check it out. My number 6 is You Bike Tour Taiwan. Now this one it caught me by surprise. The art is charming. It brings in a mechanic that you might find in Six Nipt, where there's a row of cards, and then you'll be adding to the rows depending on the numbers that are coming out. So if it's higher, you'll go to that column. If it's lower, it actually goes to the next player. So when you go to reveal cards, you want to think about it. Well, do I really want to reveal cards? Because there's an option to reveal cards or take a row. You're like, well, if there's a row out there that's kind of juicy, maybe you take it. You're trying to build up your journey through Taiwan and make different distances and patterns and collections through your journey. And the game plays out in like 30, 45 minutes, and you get a cute little journey that you've completed, and it's really a cool game, and one that I'm happy I got to try out because it's totally different with being familiar. My number 5 is Crystal Palace. Now this one is also a bigger Euro type game. I had a pretty good time with it. I have a few concerns about there's just so many machines and people, like inventors, in this game, and you're trying to get combos between the two, but there's so many of them that you probably won't get your combo that you're looking for. So with that being said, I had a great time because you are placing these dice on the board to do your actions, and you have to evaluate these dice how you see fit. So you're paying for every dice that you place. If you put all your dice at value 6, you're going to have to pay, 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6. Or you could set them at a lower value and perhaps get a weaker action, but that's also possible. But you'll be paying a lot less. So there's trade-offs. You have to balance all that accordingly. I had a great time with it though, so I definitely will be playing that one again soon. My number 4 is Porto. I've been playing a bunch of Porto recently. I've tried the solo variant. I played 2-player. I'm going to be playing a 4-player soon. So it played really well with solo because I totally got crushed. So I have a lot of learning to do. But 2 players, it was great. So it's kind of abstract. You are placing these tiles on the board to create buildings, and drafting cards to help build these buildings. It's a common board, so everybody's playing to the same location. So you hope that they are going to help you out and build the buildings you want and the locations you want them to build to meet your contracts and goals. So it's very light, family friendly. Kind of reminds me on the scale of like Copenhagen or Ticket to Ride even. So it has that easy to get into feeling and gameplay, which is great. My number 3 is Marco Polo 2. Now, I played this in April in middle stages prototype form, so the game could have changed a bit. I haven't played the published version yet, so I'm not quite sure if I know this well enough, but it is very much like Marco Polo with a new map, with a new way of getting contracts, with a new rotating market. I love the rotating market. Okay, so I love Marco Polo. The market's always fixed. At least here, the market's always changing, which could be A, good, and B, bad. It could be either. If you're looking for something specific and it's not there, or you can't get it, well, that's yep, it's good. So it is totally different from Marco Polo. I will be getting it for sure. I will not be getting rid of Marco Polo. It is different enough for me to have both, so I'm excited about it. Number 2, Electropolis. So I love city building, and most of you already know that I'm a fan of Electropolis, but if not, it's awesome. It fits in right in with other city builders like Quadropolis, or, well, not really Gingopolis, because that's my favorite, but you are drafting positions on a board to collect tiles to put those tiles on your board to create your own city. And you're trying to create these connections and, just city building stuff that I love. So, of course, if you like city building, this is probably one for you. Number 1, Jiguan. See, this, I probably said that wrong. I'm sorry. But this is the new game from Emperor's S4. It's very puzzly. you're creating these patterns on your board to try and get energy income, to try and do this, to try and do that. There's a lot to be thinking about and a lot to manage and try and see what other people are doing so you can have a leg up on them. There's a lot going on, but it probably is a 90-minute Euro type game, and I had a great time. I can't stop thinking about it. So this is one that I am just very excited for, and one that I can't wait to play more of from Emperor's S4. Well, that was my top 10 of games played coming out at Essen. Moving right along into my most anticipated games. So these are ones that I don't really know much about other than quick research on BGG, but I am excited by because of mostly the cover. No, just kidding. My number one is It's a Wonderful World. I don't know much about this one. Cover is very attractive. It is supposed to be a light civ building game with resource management and stuff like that. That's enough for me to be interested. It looks pretty cool. I didn't watch much of the playthrough that I saw, but it looked like something I definitely want to play. Number 9 is Kingsburg, the dice game. Now, I thought Kingsburg was already a dice game. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I love Kingsburg, and I love dice games, so I want more. I will definitely want to be playing that. My number 8, which probably should be a little bit higher on the list, to be honest, is The Mind Extreme. Because The Mind was one of my top favorite games last year, if not the top most favorite game. And I want more extreme versions of The Mind. How could I not? You know what I mean? Number 7, Escape Tales Low Memory. I believe that's what it's called. I had a great time playing Escape Tales The Awakening last year. I played straight through. It was like a 4-hour experience. So I really liked the mechanic of, kind of choosing your own path and having the different ending possibilities and not really sure what's going to happen. So I'm thinking that they're going to continue that kind of format. And, if you like exit type games, this is probably a series that you'll enjoy. And so, obviously, I want to play it. My number 6 is Skytopia. So, this one doesn't have much information other than the beautiful box cover, which is very beautiful. Cosmodrome Games had a few games last year that I really enjoyed, like First Contact. And everybody seems to enjoy Smartphone Inc. So they've been kind of on a kick recently. And so I want to see what they have to offer with Skytopia, worker placement Euro type game. How can you go wrong? Which also leads into my number 5, which is Aquatica. Now, again, Cosmodrome Games, and they have this art that's amazing and these bits that are amazing. I saw pictures of little like fish bits or the manta rays, or maybe I'm not sure, but they were really cool looking. And so anything that pretty, I definitely want to be taking pictures of for you fine people. My number 4 is Cooper Island. I watched part of a playthrough, and there's a lot going on. I jumped in the middle, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on. So it's not something that I can just pick up in the middle of a playthrough and learn. But it looks like to be a little bit heavier game, Euro game. So, a lot of choices and a lot of things happening in a game. I enjoy overly thinking things out. So we'll see how Cooper Island holds up to my anticipation. My number 3 is The Magnificent. Now, Porta Games, they always have something interesting for me because I love Santa Maria. So this game has a lot of similar mechanics, like there's dice and there's polyominoes and things that I love. So it's definitely high on my list because there's cards and drafting and oh my gosh, yes. So they haven't disappointed me in the past, and so The Magnificent is high on my list. Number 2 is Expedition to New Dale. Now, this probably should have been number 1, but I was kind of this and that with my top favorites that I most anticipated. This is a Pfister game coming out, and I love a lot of his titles, so I'm excited. But it's also a campaign game, which makes me even more excited. So I love the Lookout Spiel titles anyway. So this is very, very, very much the game I'm very excited about. But my number 1 is Cities Skylines. This is a new cooperative game from Rustin. I can't say his last name, my apologies. But he did Nations, and I love Nations, so I am all about trying this new city building, polyomino, cooperative game. What? Oh my goodness, I can't wait to try this one out. It has a lot of interesting things that I love, and I'm sure I will like it. So that was my top 10 most anticipated games coming out at Essen. Now, a very quick expansion update. My number 5 is the Dizzle pads, because I love Dizzle. I want to see where it leads in the next 5 levels or 4 levels. I'm excited just to place those dice in a different pattern to try and do different things. Dizzle. You can't go wrong with that game. Number 4, Manara. That was a very cool cooperative game that came out, I believe last year. Oh my gosh, I played it a whole bunch last year, so it probably came out last year. And so I'm curious how we can incorporate an expansion into this, because I always built the tower up as high as I could before it would fall over. I don't think adding more pits would help, because I couldn't build it any taller. So we'll see. My number 3 is actually a couple little small promos from Hadara, because I love Hadara, and more Hadara is going to be amazing. So that is probably higher than it needs to be for promos, but I'm very excited for it. My number 2 is Orleans Stories. And Orleans Stories because more Orleans. Now, I like Orleans base game, but every expansion that comes out, I am more excited about Orleans. So they keep making Orleans better and better and better, so Stories is a must-have for me. Number 1, probably the easiest one to guess, is Underwater Cities expansion, because Underwater Cities last year was my number 1 game from Essen. Like, that game has held up through the whole year. I will still always want to play it. So this expansion, while I got a brief taste of it in April, there's even more content that I didn't get to see, and I'm very excited about. So that is my most anticipated expansion coming out at Essen. So hopefully you liked my very fast, very brief rundown of my top 25 Essen releases. I'm so sad I can't be at Essen, because I love all the smells of the new games and just all the games. But, I will be happy to play them at BGG Con in November. So thanks for watching, guys. Have a good day.